Even
if I never had to use computers or any of that stuff ever again, I'd be happy. I really would.
You know what? There's days I feel like that, man. It's funny how everyone has their own level of, like I'm going to show you how to use an internal microphone, and there's probably some young kids out there laughing, going, but I have a friend that's just a little bit older than I am, and he literally asked me this. He's like, he called me up, and he goes, "Hey, how do I leave a YouTube comment?" And I was like,
oh, that's great.
I was like, I didn't want to laugh at him because I get it. I know how things can be. I go, there's going to be a little emoji where the thumbs up is on YouTube. It's going to be right around this box right there. That's where you're going to find that. And we're back. Hey, everybody. It's Darren Carter, the party starter, with one of my favorite guests, Steve Simeone.
How are you, buddy?
I'm great. Man, you are the definition of positivity, man. I got to tell you, it's like every day I love your gratitude list that you're putting out on
Thank
Instagram.
You, man.
It's great to see. It's almost like a challenge to see, like, what's he going to say today? Like, I wonder what he's going to come up with. It's
well,
pretty cool.
I hope that, like, I know you're in that right headspace, but I'm hoping people put together their own gratitude lists. Like I'm always trying to just inspire people to live, to appreciate things, to be a little more joyful.
Yeah,
and that's definitely needed now.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy times.
It really does work when you think of it like that. Like, and people, I'm sure you would sometimes get this too. Like, people think it's, a little silly when we do have gratitude, but, I remember the first time that I had my own apartment and I was walking with a friend and I was probably 25 years old and I never had a houseplant before. And I was like, houseplants are cool. Isn't it cool to like have a houseplant? Like, it's so cool. And got stuck with him. Like, every time I see him, he brings that up. And that was years ago.
That's awesome. But it really is those little tiny things that bring the most joy. Yeah,
it is. It's like, there's something on your podcast, Good Times, that clip. I love that clip with from The Sopranos, where that little soundbite in the beginning. I love that. Something. What is it again about the little things will one day be the big things? And
it's something like it was an episode where the power was out and Tony and his family went to his best friend's restaurant and the restaurant was closed, but they were like, you know what? We'll let you in. And they ate by candlelight and they had this little magical, fun, simple family meal. And he said, hopefully you'll look back at your life and you'll remember moments like this, these little moments that were good. And I think that was a practice I had to learn how to cultivate, because it's so easy to give up in life. It's so easy to be miserable all the time. Like, that's the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah. Yeah. When he said that, when he said one day you're going to grow up, you're going to have families of your own, and you're going to look back and it's the little things. And it's like,
remember, it is the little things.
And I always think of that. And it's like, I don't want to get lost in that, because then you're just celebrating everything little.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, though, because so many people do the opposite, like they get, can you still see my face? Turn my hat around. Okay. They're programmed for the opposite. Like, they just complain about everything, or they don't enjoy anything. Like, something amazing can happen and they'll find something wrong with it.
Oh, that's true. That's a bad habit. And that's a bad habit.
Yeah.
I hope I never pick that up, where you just.
Me too. So I'd rather go the other way,
Yeah. Where you're finding something wrong with everything or the fault. And it's an easy thing to do too, where you're just,
very easy,
especially as comedians, because sometimes some comedians may start complaining and then that turns to comedy, and then they're able to tell that negative story and make it funny. But, you don't want to just be negative with anything. I'm excited for the little things. I was telling you before we started, I got a new microphone, and
that's awesome.
It only costs like $30. And if anybody's interested in it, this is the one I got. I just basically went to Amazon and we looked up what was the highest rated or one of the higher rated microphones. And it was like $30. And
that's great.
I do think it sounds a lot better than when I was using the internal microphone on my computer.
As soon as the world opens back up, I want you to show me how to set up my computer and external microphone and stuff.
Okay.
Because it's like, it's great that we have this outlet now and we can create content and connect with people. I just need to come up the learning curve. Like, I'm just excited to be doing a Zoom right now. I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool.
I think it's really cool. I enjoy doing like the Instagram lives, but I think this is way cooler because it lasts longer and it looks better. And
you can record it.
It's recorded and we're like side by side the way I set it up, and I edit it a little bit, and I don't know, and I put the sound through a filter. I can show you how to do all that to make it.
Yeah, I need to learn everything.
You know, how many? Do you have any idea how many episodes of your podcast you've done?
None, but since I started to do the daily gratitude list, it's been like that was sort of the content. I was like, you know what? I just want to put something out for everybody, but I need to start doing my podcast again. Like, since we've been locked down, I don't think I've done it for the past month, and I have to. So if you want to be a guest on mine, I'll set up a Zoom and I'll re-record it.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
I've done, cause I think I'm on my, I don't know, like I've done over 100 now. I'm like at 110 or something like that. And it's interesting how it's changed. It was only audio. And then I switched over during this pandemic to like, well, let's try a Zoom. And it's great because people love watching it on YouTube. And the ones that aren't watching it, I'm going to upload this audio file on the podcast feed. So it's like you're doubling your ways to.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and if just one person watches it and they catch something from it and had a positive impact on their life, like, what's better than that? That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, your podcast is always one of my go-to podcasts, you know?
Oh, thanks, buddy.
There's about 10 that I keep in rotation. You know, I jump in every now and then, and whenever you're a guest, people love it, man. They love they love your comedy and your positivity. And I was listening to the Comedy Channel on the way home today, and you were on. It was great. I was like, hey!
I have to thank, it was you. There were two people that really were instrumental with that. It was you, number one, first and foremost. Oh, cool. I remember we were driving back from a gig.
Yeah.
And you were like, we listened to Elvis on the way to the gig on the Sirius station.
Oh, yeah, man.
And then on the way back, you were explaining to me about how satellite radio comedy worked. And I don't even think I had a CD out at the time. That's how long ago this was. And you were like, no, you should really do this because you're clean and you could make some good money. And then, so that planted the seed. Then my friend Nat, I owe her a phone call. She's awesome. I owe Nat a phone call. She's a manager. And she reached out and she said, hey, look, this channel's looking for clean content. I think you should submit something. So then I recorded my second CD completely clean, and it changed my life, you know, to have, and especially now during the lockdown where we can't do the road, to have a source of income is, it's a miracle. It's a miracle.
I love the little details that, you know what happens with I noticed this whenever I started doing like clean comedy, you can dive into those details and it's funny, you know? But
yeah.
It's real funny because when I was listening to the bit about your dad, you know, I think you called it paycheck pizza or something on Payday Friday.
Oh, payday pizza, yeah.
That just the idea that it's payday and you're gonna get pizza, and then your dad would do this thing. We can't see you do it, but I'm listening to it. But he'd blow on the pizza and eat it at the same time.
Yeah, he would go like this. He'd go, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so great.
Those little details that are hilarious, man. Like I'm driving and I was picturing that being animated. I think that'll be animated one day if you haven't done it already. So. You know, it's really
I would love for my comedy to live in that form. That would make me so happy.
Have you done one of these Zoom stand-up comedy shows yet? Have you done one?
Not yet. The Laugh Factory reached out to me about maybe doing one, but I have mixed feelings about it. I think for the foreseeable future, I think that is the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
And who knows what, you know, we have to take this one day at a time. And
I'll tell you, I did the Laugh Factory one, and that was actually, I got to say, it was pretty good. Like it wasn't difficult. as I thought it was going to be, because there were a few comedians. You're actually in the Laugh Factory. There's only about 4 people in the room, but it's almost like an Ed McMahon. Whoever the host is, he was great when I did it. It was Bill Dawes, and he would be like, "Hey, Darren, what about blah blah blah?" And so he's kind of feeding.
Yes.
Or if you're doing a joke, he's like, I love whatever. It was great. It was very easy. But recently, I did one of those like Zoom podcasts or Zoom comedy shows where they're like, "All right, you'll log in and you'll do."
I don't think I could do that,
dude. That was, I got to be honest. Honestly, it was weird. It was weird, man. Like it was.
I think the future will be a mixed show.
Yeah.
Like soon as the clubs can open up and get 20 people in a room.
Yeah.
I think if they were able to Zoom that or stream that to a wider paying audience, and the paychecks would be enormous,
to play to 20 people would be great. I mean, that'd be like a huge crowd at this point, seriously. It's like, listen, man, I did that Zoom show. Well, the only reason I did it is the guy, it was being streamed to people in hospitals. And I was like, okay. And the way he, described, it's a guy that supports the show. He's always retweeting the tweet,
good dude.
My links and putting my stuff out there. And he says that comedians are, laughter is the best medicine. I guess it's all based off that. He says that comedians are like doctors and laughter heals and that sort of thing. And he goes, if you want to just do 5 to 10 minutes and you just to kind of make people laugh. And he's got this whole network of people that supposedly are watching it. And I'm like, you know what, let's do, I'm thinking it's only 5 to 10 minutes. I'll do it. But, honestly, it was a little weird, but I just, and because you're sitting down, I'm literally sitting in the same chair, and and I think at one point I broke out my flashlight. I'm like, he'd seen me at the Laugh Factory right before December. Even bought a T-shirt, and he's like, Darren Carter, party starter. This guy starts the party, and I didn't want to just all of a sudden just like I'm on stage. So I was like, I kind of eased into it. In fact, I go, hey guys, you want to see my very first headshot? And I went like this. I go, during the quarantine, I was going through some old boxes and check this out. And
it's awesome.
And I was able to kind of like do I guess it's like prop comedy or something, but it was something to kind of talk about without doing your act, And then and then I did a little bit of the act, and then but it felt weird, man, because I haven't said some of those jokes in like, I don't know, 6 weeks. It felt weird.
It's going to be weird to be back on stage again.
Yeah.
It's a bizarre thing what we do.
Yeah. It's kind of, exactly. That was just it was a weird show, but somebody made a joke the other day on Twitter. They were like, some of you comedians, how did they say? They were kind of sarcastic. They were like some of you comedians, you love doing Zoom shows because you're used to bombing. And I'm like, well, I mean, because the sound of no laughter and the sound of like 3 people laughing on the other side of the computer, it's probably, it's not like.
Well, it's like what I love about performing is that live audience energy. Oh, I really think an audience shapes my performance. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's a dialogue, and for my style of comedy, it's like I'm always listening. I'm sorry, but I'm in the moment with it.
As you're saying this, I'm just remembering that they as people would enter the Zoom room or whatever, I think he wants to build confidence with the comedian, so he'd let you see that they're there. But there was this he looked like he was probably 16, and he was just like eating cereal, and his mom standing over his shoulder, and his mom was like looking at the computer, and
that's hysterical.
And I'm like, yeah, so my wife, she's even tempered. She's always mad. And my wife. Funny. And the guy's like just eating, and I was like, this is weird, man. This is weird.
Dude, if there's any way you could get a recording of that, you know how funny that would be?
Oh my gosh. Are you serious? You know what? You're probably right, because you're right. Because it was
what will be great is if all these people doing Zoom comedy shows can have them cataloged, and then you bring in comedians later to comment on how awkward everything is.
Yeah. because that was really, and that's the thing, just like with comedy, how you call the moment and so I
you have to, yeah.
I said, I eased in with some old headshots. I made a little joke here and there, and then, hey, look at this. And then I told a real story that just happened recently with my son and my wife. And then I kind of thought, let me blend into some material a little bit. And then it was right when I was doing the married material that the kid was eating the cereal and his mom was like looking over his shoulder.
dude, that's the best. How great is that?
I'm sure like the view that we have, it's just the two of us. But when there's a bunch of people, they're really small. So like on the gallery or whatever on the computer, so she's probably like looking at this little tiny dot, and here I am doing it was just weird, man. It was, But I called the moment. I said I didn't make fun of it. I just said, how it was interesting to do stand up again, like in this situation.
I mean, that's a unique environment. Dude, it's bizarre because it takes out the human element, And that, to me, is the best element of stand-up. It's the fact that everybody's in that moment together sharing it, I know.
What's funny? My with the gratitude lists, my son, Austin, he's 12 years old, and he loves doing the Thanksgiving prayer. And he's done this for a few years now. He goes, he is so thankful for so many things. And then he just starts like naming random things, and it's kind of a big family. Like we start laughing because it's like, dude, all right already. Like he's like, thank you for this table, and thank you for my flip phone. Thank you for Wi-Fi. Thank you for Neil Sedaka. Thank you for Sirius satellite radio. Thank you for my. He just goes on, and everyone wants to eat, and we're just like, all right,
It's great.
Yeah. When I was a kid, we would say prayer before the meal, and but we kind of had this memorized prayer that we would do, and it was I'd go like this. We'd go, thank you, God, for the world so sweet. Thank you, God, for the food we eat. Thank you, God, for the birds that sing. Thank you, God, for everything. Amen. And
that's awesome.
It's a very simple prayer, and it is awesome. And then I remember like we would try to like start speeding it up, like, you know what I mean? And you could see how fast you could say it and still get away with it. Thank you, God, for the world so sweet. Thank you, God, for the food we eat. But you just couldn't be.
There was a great Boston comedian that did a joke about the same guy that would say the rosary on the radio in Boston was the same guy. And I think this is a true story.
Yeah.
But I think it was the same guy that would pray the rosary on the radio. It was the same guy that would do commentary on horse races.
Oh, it's funny.
So he would just speed through the prayers.
Coming forward.
Yeah, exactly. It was so funny.
That's hilarious. That's great, man. It's so during this pandemic, they a lot of times people, like with my son's school, they'll ask, what's something that you miss, or what's something that you're excited by, that and not excited by, but something that you're grateful for. Also, I'd like to ask you that. Is there, off the top of your head, what's just a random thing that you miss that you haven't been able to really do?
Church. I miss going to church.
Yeah. Being in a church environment and walking in and just.
And seeing my friends there.
Oh, yeah.
I miss the gym.
Yeah.
I miss haircuts.
Is that why you wear the hat? Have you thought of cutting your own hair yet, or you're going to try to hold out?
No.
Yeah.
I'll hold out.
You'll hold out. Is it cool to see is it weird to see yourself with longer hair?
I kind of like it a little bit, but I have to put so much stuff in it.
Yeah.
Make it stay in one spot, because if not, it gets really puffy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, man. I started shaving my head about 2 years ago.
It's great.
It's the best, because I don't have to deal with otherwise it starts to grow faster in different areas, and you don't want to get the side.
Yeah, uneven. That's the good thing about where my hair is right now, because I kept it so short that there was this awkward phase for 2-3 weeks where I couldn't do anything with it. And now it's long enough where I can comb it and stuff.
Oh, that's cool. What I'm also grateful for is when you just hear a random song that you haven't heard in a long time.
Oh, it's the best.
And you're like, I forgot how good that song was. Like I was listening to this interview with Peter Noon from Herman's Hermits. I think it's Herman and the Hermits. Herman's Hermits.
Yeah.
You know, hello, Mrs. You've got a lovely daughter.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, that like 60s British pop.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he had this. He just some of the songs that they were playing during the interview, and I'm like, man, that's good. I forgot how good that stuff is, you know. Or the Beatles. Mm-hmm. I've been listening to the Beatles lately, and just how good some of those songs are, and how good they make you feel.
Yes, I have a term for that. I call that audio Prozac.
Oh, I like that.
Where there's certain kinds of music that they just change your mood. Yeah. And then when you said there's a song that you haven't heard in a while, that I used to do a bit on that, and I used to call that "Oh Snap" music. Where you would hear a song that you haven't heard in a while, and you're like, "Oh snap, that's my jam!" Like it just makes you like you forgot it even existed, and then you hear it, you're like, oh, it's like seeing an old friend.
Yeah,
it's
everybody dance now.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. CNC Music. What do you think of when you think of CNC Music Factory? Everybody dance now.
I think of a concert that I did not go to.
Really?
But it was like Salt and Pepper CNC Music Factory.
Oh, wow.
Because like I used to go to rap concerts when I was a kid, but it was just like one step low. I don't know, but maybe I do remember seeing DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince at a place called the Valley 4 Music Fair, where only sat about 2,000 people, and it was a theater in a round. And I had seen Andrew Dice Clay perform in that venue and Rodney Dangerfield perform in that venue.
Wow.
And I do remember around that same time frame seeing DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. And you know what? I think in hindsight, maybe CNC Music Factory, then it was Salt and Pepper, then DJ Jazzy. I think that was all the same show.
What was it like to see Rodney Dangerfield?
Incredible.
Wow.
Because I'd been a fan, my earliest memories, I was a fan of Rodney. I remember seeing Caddyshack when I was like 7 years old. And I was like, when I grow up, I want to be that guy.
Hey, okay.
I mean, he murdered for over an hour just with jokes.
Just so good.
It was incredible.
So good, right? I used to have one of his albums, and it was just funny. Everything was just funny. Set up punch.
Yeah.
Set up punch.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I can't do. And I admire it so much that in people that can do it. And like, I don't think there's a comic in the history of stand-up that had better timing than Rodney.
You know what? He came into the Laugh Factory one night back in the 90s when I first got passed as a regular there. And I was on at the end of the show, and they were like, it was one of those nights where they were begging the audience, like, please don't, we only have 4 more comedians. Don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
One of those kind of things. Hey, you guys can hang in there. You guys film, come on. And then he came in, and I want to say that he had a bathrobe on, or maybe.
Yeah, I think that's true. I remember hearing those stories.
And I remember like the bathrobe and just the very pajamas, like just really relaxed, like a relaxed feeling. And I do 100% remember that he had a little notebook and he had reading glasses, and he went up on stage, and he only did about 10 minutes, and he literally was just trying out jokes and marked them off, and and was just like, okay, my doctor, all right. And I remember it was awesome to see, but I was a little nervous because I was next, and
you had to follow Rodney.
I did, and even though it was a small crowd, but when he got up there, they re-energized. They're oh wow!
Yeah, he was a legend at that point, truly a legend.
Yeah, it was great. I wish I could live in that moment again and just really. But it's hard though when you're next. You know what I mean? Because you're next. You're like you can't be like oh shit. What am I gonna do?
That's a great feeling though.
Yeah.
Like when you're not a comic anymore, you're just a fan.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, I love that.
Yeah. It was it was interesting to because I was a fan and I still am, but it was interesting to follow that. And like, also now I've done this so many times. Also, when the crowd is tired, a big star goes up, they say goodnight, and then a lot of the people leave to where, you're like a salmon swimming upstream, or you're like, pardon me, excuse me. Now I know how to do that, where I know to go on stage, and what I do is I do a slow burn. I just let people who want to go, and And I'm not even going to start yet. We're going to start in about a minute. If you got to go, go. And then I just kind of get them on my side, and I go, let's begin. And then I start. Because otherwise,
that's cool.
People are like half in, half out. Should we go? Should we? And I don't.
Yeah, it's a tough energy.
I don't want to do like one or two jokes and have them go, nah. So For
years, I had that spot at the Comedy Store in the main room. I was so grateful to have a main room spot, but it was always the spot where, as they were saying my name, half the audience would get up and leave.
Oh yeah, and you learn little techniques.
Yeah,
to do,
Yeah, little ways to adjust, and
you learn what not to do too. I learned.
Oh yeah, you can't just come right out and not acknowledge it and jump straight into your act.
That's what I did when a 26-year-old Darren Carter. I'm gonna just go into my act and really win him over and do my best impression and then
yes, I mean that's why, like, when you were talking about Zoom shows, I'm like, it's matching that energy and meeting the energy of the audience and that dialogue back and forth that I think makes live performance one of the coolest. There's a reason why people since the dawn of civilization have been into it. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Do you have any I'll name some groups or bands. You tell me if you have any memories when I say them. If not, we'll move on.
Okay.
The Doors.
The Doors, one of my dad's claims to fame of being cool is that I had the Doors' first album.
Wow.
And then I remember when I was a real little kid, there was a town, a couple miles away from where I grew up, named Marcus Hook. And there was an urban legend that Jim Morrison had faked his own death and was living in Marcus Hook.
Hey, let's look into that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll skip around. What about Elvis Presley?
A memory for Elvis? Okay, the first time I ever performed at the Riviera in Las Vegas.
Wow.
I love older people. I think they're the best. And I remember the guys that were seating the comedy club, some of them had been there for, 30, 40 years. And they had Elvis stories. And this one old timer told me a story about working an Elvis show. And Elvis saw a gentleman in a wheelchair. And Elvis came over and sang to the guy and then literally took a ring off of his hand, like a diamond ring, and put it on the finger of the guy in the wheelchair, and then just went on with his show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. That is so
incredible.
Elvis,
so cool.
Mike Black told me a story about that, about Elvis doing something where he took a ring and gave it to the guy in Colorado that was making the peanut butter and banana sandwiches.
I love Mike Black's Minute with Mike Black. That was one of the things that influenced my gratitude lists.
Yeah.
It was great.
It's funny. My wife and I, we saw with our son Austin, they used to, I don't know if they're going to do it again this year, but for a long time on 4th of July, if you went to CBS, the CBS lot, the public could pay and watch fireworks for the CBS lot, CBS wrap.
So cool.
It was really cool. And every year they'd have a tribute band, it might be the Beatles or, one year we went and it was an Elvis impersonator. And I follow the guy on Instagram now. And he was so cool, man. They had an intermission and he didn't make fun of Elvis. He really sang the songs and put on a show and he did a little bit of shtick, He had the great costumes. One of the things that he did that was sort of a bit made me laugh though. Somebody yelled out or requested, return to sender. And he's like, do we even write letters like we used to? I don't know. If I wrote that song now, it'd have to be hey, my email got kicked back with a mailer Damon. Yeah, a mailer Damon. That was pretty funny. But during one of the songs, and this is back when my son was about 6, and my son dressed like Elvis to go. No, actually,
awesome.
He dressed like Elvis for Halloween. That's what he did. Okay, I'm confusing stories, but he did. He could tell that my son was really into the Elvis, and the guy came over and he turned around, took his ring off, and gave it to me to give to Austin, and that was so.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Yeah, that was cool, man. He had like this costume jewelry or whatever, but just the fact that he did as he's singing, and I was like, gosh.
So those stories about Elvis taking off his rings must be 100% real if the impersonator were even incorporated that.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
It's so cool. I want to brag about my son for a little bit. I always brag about him. Steve, do you know that, and I put this on my YouTube channel, people can check it out. In school, you'd get a kick out of this. So on March 14th, it's they call it Pi Day because it's
3.14. Yeah.
So they told the kids, they said, all right, if you guys can memorize, because 20 digits of pi, because pi goes on to infinity apparently. But they said, if you can name at least 20 digits of pi, you get to throw a pie in your teacher's face.
Oh, that's great.
So like that day, Austin comes home, and he the first day, I think he'd already memorized like 40 or 50 digits. It was he's very determined and
what a smart kid.
Yeah, and he ended up breaking the school record, and he ended up memorizing 400 digits of pi. 400 digits. I'm 100% serious.
How old was he when he did that?
This is recently. This is in March.
That's insane. Because I remember one of the first high school talent shows I ever went to.
Oh.
There was a kid, I remember his name, who I believe was a senior at the time. And he was so smart that everybody knew like this was the smartest kid ever. Yeah. And he wound up going to Harvard. Wow. He was so smart that it was like cool that he was that smart. Does that make sense? Like the school took pride in him. And I think he had memorized pi to like maybe 15 or 20 digits or something. Wow. No way did he get to 400. I mean, what was the school's response that a 12-year-old kid did this?
Well, a lot of the things got canceled because of the lockdown. So he never got to throw the pie in the face but he did get to recite the numbers. And they were, of course, very proud of him, and he broke the school record. And he actually got his teacher's so nice, she gave him like a gift certificate to one of his favorite restaurants. So that was cool.
Oh, that
was really cool. But he, and I'll say this because he'll never do this again. He got the exciting idea that apparently because these kids love YouTube. He went on YouTube and he saw that somebody had memorized 200 numbers of pi and had made that their password. So he's like, oh, well, I'm going to make mine 400 digits. Dude, that was a bad idea because you have to do it exactly. And if you don't, X it out for like 15 minutes and then whatever it is, 30 minutes. And then it's like last try. So it was like, my wife was like, do not, because we're going to have to reset this whole thing. And so he literally, and get this, not only do you have to like put the password in, once you're in to change the password, you have to put it in again. You only have like 5 minutes. So he's sitting there trying to go 3.141592. Yeah. So he knows like not to do that again, like it's.
I have, one of my pet peeves is internet passwords.
Oh,
it's the worst because like today I was trying to log into this place and I put in my password and it was like, that doesn't work. And I go, did I change that? Maybe I changed it and I forgot it. And I went, no, I didn't change it. And I double checked my records and I put in the password again and it didn't work. So then I had to set the link. I put in the temporary code and I went, I'm just going to make my old password my new password. And then it said, you can't use an old password. Well, this was the first time I changed it. So when I was putting in the old password, they said it was the new like it's just such a frustrating process.
Yeah, and
then I hate them.
And then
if I never had to use computers or any of that stuff ever again, I'd be happy. I really would.
You know what? There's days I feel like that, man. I it's funny how everyone has their own level of, like I'm going to show you how to use an internal microphone, and there's probably some young kids out there laughing, going, it's. But I have a friend that's just a little bit older than I am, and he literally asked me this. He's like, he called me up, and he goes, "Hey, how do I leave a YouTube comment?" And I was like,
"Oh, that's great."
I was like, I didn't want to laugh at him because I get it. I know how things can be. I go, I go, there's going to be a little emoji where the thumbs up is on YouTube. It's going to be right around this box right there. That's where you're going to find that. Maybe he was on his mobile device. I don't know why he.
Yeah, who knows?
He never left a YouTube comment, which is cool. You know, a lot of people do, a lot of people don't. So.
I wish most people wouldn't leave YouTube comments.
You know what? No matter what you like in life, if it's Beethoven, whatever it is, there's going to be like negative comments on that. It's crazy, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, but you know what though? I like, what's the word I'm looking for? Cultivating a positive culture, you know, like,
yes,
what we put out there, you know, you put out positivity, I put out positivity. So I find that attracts positivity. You know, a lot of people that are attracted to negative stuff, they're going to go to where the negative stuff is. And they're
correct.
You know, even I have a little, you know, I have a cousin and he's a young cousin. And he's like, yeah, I'm in the middle of a, what do you call it? He goes, I'm in the middle of a TikTok comment war. Like, what? And he's in the middle of a TikTok comment war. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's already starting with these kids. He's like 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's arguing with someone and you know, and it's like.
Not worth my energy.
I know, not worth my energy. Yeah, I'm sure you've come across that. Like, there's a couple people I follow online and they love to wake up every day and find that negative statement. And I think they get a kick out of it though. They like to, it seems like they're cracking their knuckles and like, come on, bring it on. And like to argue.
Yeah. I would never want to live like that. I just ignore it and move on.
Yeah, that's how
the easiest thing ever is you just go, oh, this doesn't really matter. And
exactly.
Because it doesn't. And just focus on the stuff that does matter.
Yeah, because everyone has their opinion. So just,
yeah.
You know. And also, they said that you read something in the mood that you're in. So I try to like, you know, it's hard, you know what I mean? It's like you could be like, you could type something, but if they're in a bad mood, they may read it in a negative mood. So, you know.
Yep.
So since we do, for the people that are listening, you can also find this episode on YouTube. Do you have did you bring anything you could kind of show the camera we could maybe talk about? Did you?
Yeah, I have some cool stuff.
Awesome.
Okay. Let's see. This I think is awesome because we had mentioned Mike Black earlier.
Yeah.
And years ago for my birthday, he got me a series of Rocky dolls.
And really? That's
yes.
cool.
That's cool. This is maybe my favorite. It's Frank Stallone.
That's awesome. Sylvester Stallone's brother, Frank Stallone.
Yeah.
What does he sing? He sings some big songs.
Yeah.
I can look it up.
Take me back. Do, 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 do. Take me back. And then there are two kinds of love that you ought to know. There are two kinds of love. Because remember when Rocky married Adrian?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, these guys are kind of like the neighborhood jukebox.
That's awesome. I follow him on Instagram, Frank Stallone. He every now and then he'll pop up at a comedy club. I've seen him once at the Laugh Factory and once at the Comedy Magic Club.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, he
seems like a good guy.
He does. He likes cowboy boots and guitars, and every now and then he'll play a song on there. He posts a lot of positivity and, you know, I love America type stuff. And
that's great.
It's cool, man. It's cool. Okay, I got one for you. This isn't that cool as a Frank Stallone doll, but speaking of internet and whatnot, this is a do you know what this is? Do you have any idea what this is?
Is that an external hard drive?
It is. And this is one of those things I never knew how to use. And somebody they showed me is pretty easy, and I learned to just drag and drop things to kind of clear up space for my computer, which is something that, you know, the more, you know, you guys know how it is. Your phone fills up, everything fills up. So get one of these external hard drives, man, and it'll definitely save you some space for your devices.
Especially when you're dealing with videos and stuff like that. Yeah. Like I have a lot of my stand-up on one of those things, which is great.
Yeah, I try to get them on there, and you know, what else do you got? You got anything else?
Oh yeah, I have. Here's a cool picture that I found, and it's a picture back when I worked at the Philadelphia Eagles with me and The Rock back when he was a pro wrestler.
Wow! Zoom that in, or put that right up to the lens.
Can you see it?
Oh, dude, that's hilarious. That's great, and you look like you're trying to look buff too, or maybe you are.
It's just a weird. Yeah, it's just a weird angle.
Oh wow!
It makes me look bigger than I was.
Yeah, because you look like you're trying to look like, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just a weird angle. Like, I wanted a picture with him, but I was afraid to, like, touch him. I didn't want him to be like, hey, back off. But he was so nice.
That's That's cool.
It was like at the peak of his pro wrestling career, and he couldn't work out in a normal gym because he would just get bombarded.
Yeah.
So the Philadelphia Eagles in their locker room had a weight room. This was at the old Veterans Stadium. And the head trainer at the time used to be the head trainer at the University of Miami when The Rock was a football player there.
Mm.
So they'd been buddies since then. So whenever The Rock was wrestling in Philly, he'd come by the Eagles and just lift weights there.
Wow. Were you a big Philadelphia Eagles fan growing up?
Yeah.
So what was that like to work for them? And after being a fan, was it like, this is so cool? It's like behind the scenes.
It was a dream come true.
Wow.
Like I look back at my life and I've just had so many blessings, so many dreams come true.
Right.
Really a dream. Like how many people can ever say they did that? They got to work for their favorite sports team. How many people can say they, became I'm a comedian. Like I don't think about it. It's so easy. Like, we were talking about being positive and gratitude and stuff like that. But even though that's something I try to cultivate as much as possible in my life, but I don't really think like I should have more gratitude for the fact that I get to make my living doing something I love that's nearly impossible. And somehow for the last 20 years, like I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination. And there were years where it was so bad. There was no money, but I survived it. And now like I'm a comedian. I'm like not famous or rich, but like I'm doing this and it's really cool.
It is cool. And comedians, like you said, we might not be famous or rich or but you never know how you're touching people's lives. I did a little obstacle course recently and, with those tires that I have in I'm gonna put.
I love how you were having all these like savage workout sessions.
Yeah, like a YouTube video, right? Like it's the YouTube video of the, I'm going to make a YouTube video of me like running and jumping the tires. And so it was great. I was playing that with my son. We were racing and we're having his uncle time us. And at one point, his uncle, as I was trying to beat everybody's score, because my uncle was the fastest. I'm like the second fastest, but no, actually my son even beat me. My son beat me. Like,
that's great.
I'm not that fast. I'm also like, and as I was running and trying to beat this score, my brother-in-law was quoting Brody Stevens. He's like, positive energy, push, believe, yes. And it was great, man. And it just,
how great was Brody? Brody's great. Come up like 3 times in the last 24 hours in all my conversations. Oh. I miss him dearly.
I do too, man. I really do. You just don't know when someone's going to touch your life and when that memory is going to hit you, and that was just a random moment. It was a connection, that we had as I'm running and I'm pushing and believing and I'm thinking of Brody and, that was amazing. I got one last thing to show you. I don't know if you have more, but this is one of my favorite coffee mugs. My wife did that. That's my son Austin with some random photos, and I don't know if you
that's
can see
the best. I love you, Darren Carter, big party starter. Aww.
And I love that photo. He's kind of like looking over, he's like, what's dad doing?
The best.
So cute. And then of course this on the back is one of my favorite photos. I love it.
That's a classic. Like that's a Norman Rockwell painting.
And that was just a random photo. That was not staged or anything. We were on our way to a farmer's market that morning in Studio City, and my wife, I don't know, she just took that photo. And if you look, I'm wearing a blue vest and a green shirt, and he's wearing a blue shirt and a green vest. We didn't plan that or anything. And
it's awesome.
We both have our LA Dodger hats on or whatever, and I love it,
dude.
I love the way he's looking up at me, and I love the way I'm looking at him, and it's my favorite mug, and I hope I never break it. That's why I try not to drink.
I was going to say you should try to get enough. You should try to get 6 of them made.
I know. I do. We have those photos saved, so we could
do it
if something happens.
Just in case. Yes. I would definitely have insurance for something that awesome.
Yeah. When I look at that, I'm like, and kids are funny, man. He says things to me that's just, now he's at the age now where he's kind of like busting balls a little bit,
Yeah, he's 12.
Yeah, he's 12. He's almost 13. So it's funny. Like, these kids now, they don't, like when you and I were growing up, I don't know, were you big into like Looney Tunes on Saturday mornings and watching?
Yes, 100% so.
Me too. I love that stuff. Elmer Fudd and Squooey Wabbit and wow.
Loved it. And then I remember getting old enough to go, there may come a point where I'm not going to love this. And it made me like nostalgic even as a child.
Yeah. Oh, I remember so many mornings of Saturday mornings, the smell of my mom making pancakes and sausage or whatever. I remember like just pancakes on Saturday mornings. And that's
how great is that?
Watching Bugs Bunny and it
doesn't get better. Life does not get better.
I know. And then you hear the the Looney Tunes theme song.
So great.
So I'm trying to, it's funny because my son he's like, they're not really that amusing to these kids, nowadays. Like you want to show them some of this classic stuff and, they're okay with it, but they're not like, I don't know.
That's one of the but there's something beautiful to that though.
Yeah.
Like every generation has their stuff. Like I can even, that's another thought I had. I remember like my dad trying to show me the TV shows he grew up with. Like he loved cowboys.
Yeah.
He loved them.
Oh yeah.
And then I remember being like, this is boring.
Boring.
Yeah. And then I remember he loved Flash Gordon. And they were like, it was so like stinky to me because they were like black and white. Everything he liked was like black and white. And
come on, son, let's watch The Rifleman or whatever.
Yeah. It's Tom Mix. Your buddy from Three's Company, Ritter. His old man was Cowboy Tex Ritter. Now this is Roy Rogers. And I was like, oh, boring. But I remember when that modern version of Flash Gordon came out. I mean, I think I like the 1980 Flash Gordon movie more than I like Star Wars. Like, I love that movie. I think it's the coolest thing ever. And I remember, like, that was such a great moment for my dad because he got to share something that he loved.
Yeah.
And then we loved it even more.
Oh, cool.
And not only did we see the movie, but then, like, if we loved the movie, my dad would buy us the soundtrack. And we got to listen to Flash Gordon. It was the greatest.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so fun.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, I was trying to explain like to him about like Three's Company. I'm like, see, here's what happens. He's living with two girls, and
I think that might be the best sitcom of all time.
It's so good.
It's just so funny.
Even the theme song.
It hits such a time and place, that theme song.
He's so physical too. His comedy is physical. They did a scene. I saw this scene the other day. Jack Tripper, John Ritter. He's meeting his girlfriend's father, and he's trying to impress her. And the father's like very stoic rich man, just that vibe of, I don't know who the actor was, but they did this scene, and I knew something was going to come up because John Ritter, he moved closer to him on the couch, and so the father has his legs crossed, and John Ritter goes to cross his legs, and his foot lifts the other guy's leg off and pops it up, and so they're
hilarious,
like intertwining, and I'm like, that's great physical comedy. That's like. It's
almost like silent, an old vaudeville or silent movie gag.
It was hilarious, man. I was like, how do you come up with that stuff? But, it's funny. I was gonna say my son's been busting my balls lately. It's funny. I'm like, come on, son, hold the camera. I'm like, because I'm trying to make this YouTube video where I'm like punching tires and jumping over them and working out on the farm and like the whole Rocky IV vibe. And
yes,
he's like, Dad, because he's watching these like YouTubers that have millions and millions and millions of views, and they get free stuff to give to their fans, and seriously, there's one guy named Davey504, I believe his name is, and he gives like bass guitars to his fans, and like, you win a guitar. And so I'm like, come on, son, I'm like, hold the camera this way, and we want to make sure the lighting. And I'm trying to. He's like, Dad, nobody cares. You're like an obscure comedian. And it makes me laugh. It's like,
dude, you have to do that as a bit.
Yeah,
that could be a really funny story to tell on stage.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, son, let's work out. And he's like, and then what do you say the other day? Because obviously, I look okay for like a normal guy.
Yeah, dude.
But he's like, I mean, the public sees you when you're wearing clothes, you're looking your best. He walked in the other day, my shirt was off, and I had a splinter on my foot. And I'm like, and I'm reaching backwards to take the splinter off. And of course, like every roll of fat is out, and he's just like, Dad, put a shirt on, And so when I'm trying to do this fitness video thing, I'm like, I want to show people my workouts. He's like, and then today he goes, Dad, nobody wants to see workout videos from like a fat guy.
Hilarious.
He's like, fatty daddy, fatty daddy. I'm like, dude, like, relax, But it's funny though, man. It's all in good fun and stuff. And I got to say, I don't know if it's because I'm adopted or whatever, but I have a very special bond with my son, man. I love that kid so much, and and he gets it. It's like he I love him.
It's awesome. What a blessing.
Yep. Yeah, I think that is it for things I want to show. Do you have one more thing or a couple more things?
I do have one more thing if you want to see it, because it's a really cool patch that was autographed to me from the legendary, one of the toughest guys to ever walk the earth, the godfather of grappling, the godfather of mixed martial arts, Judo Gene LeBell.
Wow.
And I have another one somewhere else.
That's so
But
cool.
I met Judo Gene LeBell, the late great Roddy Piper, brought me to meet, as he referred to him, Uncle Gene, as part of my birthday gift one year.
Wow.
So yeah, because like I became very close with Roddy, and he was like the toughest guy I ever met, but he would have such a reverential tone when he would talk about Mr. LeBell. Like it was like, oh, this was the toughest guy ever. Like this is the guy that beat up Bruce Lee. This was the guy that refereed the match between Muhammad Ali and Antonio Inoki because neither guy wanted to fight him.
Wow.
Like legit tough dude. And I got to go to his dojo with one of his most prized pupils, Roddy Piper. And when he was so kind and polite, but then when he found that I was a comedian, he really liked me because like he had such a love of comedy and performing because he was really funny. Like he was a legendary pro wrestler and personality, but it was just a memory I'm always going to have.
Let's see that patch one more time. That was really cool. He's got to be over 80. I don't know how old he is.
Yeah, he's in his 80s now.
Come play with the gods. Wow, with love, Gene LeBell.
And he drew the little face on it. Yeah.
Wow.
So cool. The coolest. Man. Well, listen, it's been a great episode, and I want to thank you for taking your time. And I love you, buddy. Thank you for letting me hang out. And give me a call. Let's try to go for a walk or something this week.
I will. And do you have any words of wisdom on the way out? Like anything you want to share with people that just to kind of lift up their day? Anything you've learned along the way?
You know what the truth is? I would recommend that everybody learns how to pray.
Yep.
Because today, like when I was doing my gratitude list, it occurred to me like how grateful I am just for my faith. Because I know so many people that don't have that. And I'm not like one of those like judgy Christian people. Like I pray for the people that don't believe. Yeah. Because life's hard enough for me with my faith and knowing that there's a God that loves me and created me for a reason. But I can only imagine how challenging times like this must be for people that don't have faith.
Yeah.
So my advice would be, even if you don't believe, just send up a prayer like, God, I want to believe.
That's right.
Something as simple as that. And it will change your life.
Yep.
It's everything.
Steve, you're the best. Thanks for coming on, man.
I love you, buddy. I can't wait to hang out in person.
Yeah.
Let's put on our masks and go on a social distance walk.
Let's do it.
All right, I love you, buddy. Send my best to your family, okay?
I will. See you
bye,
next
buddy.
time. Bye.
Bye.
We're done with this interview.
So when my son was about 10 years old, I remember he came into the kitchen and he goes, "Hey, Mom, how many pounds do you weigh?" And she goes, "You never ask a woman how many pounds." And he thought about it and he goes, "How many tons?" I said, "This kid's funny. I gotta write that down." Anyways, I'm gonna write some more jokes down. And while I'm doing that, you guys click one of these bubbles and watch another one of my videos. And thanks again for subscribing. Thank you.
Pocket Party.